guys, Dishsoap here, and I'm about to show you how to play the best comp on the patch, Scrap. Now, I'm recording this before the patch even comes out, so there's a chance something else is just randomly broken, but nothing has really changed about Scrap, and I think the comp is optimized to a point of it being, like, kind of insane. Reason I'm making this guide is I just felt like this comp has, like, clicked so much with me, because I haven't done a guide on this channel in a while, not gonna lie. Mostly just because I didn't really feel like I had that much to add to comps. I know, like, I'm sure you guys want me to, like, explain normal comps and stuff, but I just haven't really felt it. But I feel like I have a lot to say about Scrap. And this might hurt me too, because I'm pretty sure this is just going to be immediately, like, insanely contested in the comp. But anyways, I've been playing this comp a lot on ladder, played it a bit in tournament as well. Have some pretty good scores with it. I know I went 5th 3 times with, like, insane boards. But, like, okay, so the thing is I was stronger than the rest of the lobby in 2 of them, but I just died to Kim Baron, man, from, like, 17. And the rest of the lobby lives at, like, 1 HP, or, like, from Mel or some dog shit. I feel like these 5ths are a little fake when, at least in a couple of games, I was, like, for sure strong enough the top 2. Not just TFT sometimes. But very, very high first rate, even with those 3 5ths in the past, like, 2 days. I have 4 first on it. You might notice the double echo. We'll come back to that later. I want to say around here is when I started to get it. And one of the things that really helped me realize how strong this comp was this item chart. I kind of assumed they would give you, like, pretty good items, but knowing Riot Games, like, sometimes they can give you some sus stuff. Like, for example, Sword gives you, like, Shojin. Like, Shojin on Corki is complete ass, but, like, they still give it to you. So I assumed this was, like, the way for, like, the rest of the items, but it turns out that's not the case. And some items have, like, very, very, very good pools, and being able to manipulate that is, like, a huge thing. Like, the components on the low cost don't really matter. But for GP and Corki, it's Belt, because there's, like, no way you could low roll Guard Breaker. If you go Rod, Gunblade just low value on GP. Also, you want Rod other places. Ginsu's low value Corki. Same thing with the Gunblade. Bow should be good, but the problem is, in the comp, you usually, like, probably want to get anti-heal in Sunder anyways. So if you have that, if you roll that 2 to 3 at a time, it's going to be useless. Which was why bow scrap is bad. Sword is bad because, like, Shojin's bad. Sword's not bad on GP. You can go sword on GP 100% of the time. It's pretty good on GP. And then glove on GP, same thing. But the thing is, it can roll less whisper, and we want to be, like, already building less whisper. Thing is, I don't believe you can roll duplicate less whispers. So if you have less whisper on GP exactly, you can go glove scrap on him. It's good. But usually put LW on Corki, and you don't really want to roll Hodge on Corki with glove. That's why I don't like glove. Tier, just bad. Blue buff GP, no thanks. Shojin, Corki, no thanks. So Belt, like, is just always going to be consistently good. And the other thing about Belt is that you don't really want tank items at all in the comp, because you get most of the value, like, especially Belt items, because most of the, like, frontline you get in this comp is from the massive amount of scrap shield scaling. Like, the goal in every single comp is just to, like, just completely stat check them with shields and burst them down, and tank items really do not help with that at all. So a combination of Belt being terrible as a component usually, just for, like, making full items, and it always being a guard breaker, makes me, like, I save my belts the entire game. I never slam any single belt item when I'm trying to play this comp, and I save them exactly for guard breaker on GP and Corki, mostly Corki. And then for Echo, same kind of thing here. We got some mid items. A Rod would be okay, but the thing is, like, we're already trying to build Spark normally, so if it rolls a Spark, you're, like, pretty sad about it. So I don't really like doing Rod. I used to just slam Rod on him all the time because, like, oh yeah, this guy wants AP. But no, you have to realize that we want to be minimizing the low roll. We want to make it as consistent as possible. If you already have, like, a Hodge or something, bow's fine. But usually we're gonna be using bows in other spots. Same thing, sword's pretty fine as well. Glove's fine. Okay, honestly, Echo is a less big of a deal than Corki and GP, but I kind of like saving my tiers for Echo and Rumble and multiple Echoes, to be honest, because I think Hodge is really good. Even though, like, you might think the healing is less valuable because of the scrap shield, you might not get value out of the healing. If you're above half health, I believe it just converts most of the stats into damage. And then also the mana, I think, is a pretty valuable stat, just starting mana on him. Lets him burst down faster. We are a burst comp. And then when you do get chunked down, the healing kicks in, and it's not a fake stat. He does end up healing a lot of the fights. Same thing for Rumble. I think just tier scrap is the best on him. So, like, I try to get something around this as my board every single game. AKA tier plus 2 good items on Echo, Belt, LW, IE, Corki. I think this is true best on Corki, and then Echo is a little more flexible. You don't have to go Death Cap. You technically don't have to go Hodge, but I do think tier is good. And then I just want to go anti-hail and GP. I mean, you can Spark Rumble or, like, Trundle because he has the scrap shield, or, like, a scrap plus 1 unit. The full items you want to force every game are Last Whisper, Spark, and like maybe anti-heal, but like anti-heal usually just end up building on like stage 4 or like 5-1 or something, because it's not that important to get early, and I don't really want to make like a Sunfire because we already have Rumble and Powder for what Sunfire kind of does. Prefer like the range anti-heal or whatever. So since we're like reading all of these components, it doesn't, like, to me it doesn't really make sense to play this comp at all from Win Streak, because I don't really want to slam any tier items. I don't want to slam any bow items besides Last Whisperer. Same with Glove. I don't really want to make any belt items. That's the big one. Like, you can't really make a Sunfire in this comp in my opinion, because like you really want to save the belts for the backlines. So with restricting yourself on the slams so much, I kind of came to the conclusion that this is like a lose streak slash like if you have a bad spot, you just force this comp, because we're like not really willing to slam any items. And I think I've like succeeded a lot with that. So the way I've been playing this comp mostly is I've been taking augments on 2-1 that either give econ or something that like helps scrap in the long term. And for an example, I'll just pull up some augments so I can talk about them. Honestly, silver's not the best example. Like, you can probably play from anything with silver, but like Eye for an Eye, that's 4 components. Or just like any generic econ. Latent Forge, pretty good. There's lots of pretty good Orn items. Just anything that scales really is what you want on 2-1, or like just any generic econ over encumbered, or like something that gives you an excess of components. This comp does better with gold and prismatic starts though. All the shimmers is like okay. The problem, like because Collector Corki is very, very strong, and you just LW the GP or something, and you go like Collector IE belt on Corki. But the thing about all that shimmers is like a little awkward is, since we want to be loose streaking, it's kind of hard to get kills. I think I took this and I didn't proc collect. Like, I proc collector once by like 3-2 or something. It was, or no, I got like 1 gold by 3-2 with it. But just getting the item is good, I think. And like you might think that like, oh, why can't I play this from Win Streak comp? I just won't slam anything, or I'll just slam like the components on them and like play it from like a 4 scrap opener. And like in theory that's good, but the fact that they roll random components, and just the fact that like you're playing a Ziggs, which is pretty bad without Dominator, GP's pretty bad without Form Swapper and Pit Fighter. It's just like the 4 scrap opener is just like pretty terrible. So like if you're already like playing terrible openers anyways, you might as well just save your removers, get as much econ as possible, get as much info about your items as possible, and just lose streak. And this is like coming from me. I'm like the Win Streak guy. And if I'm telling you that this comp is better from lose streak, I feel like that might have a little bit of value. There's specifically a gold augment that I think is like so synergistic with this. I'm trying to find it. So I think this augment on 2-1, whenever I see this, I just hard force scrap. Because what it does is you gain 2 gold after losing a player combat. We already want to lose streak anyways, and then you get a component every 4 losses. What this basically means is it's 2 gold around for all of like stage 2, stage 3, which helps you make so many intervals and stuff. So it's like 20-ish gold, but plus the intervals is probably more like it's probably like 25 gold, but we'll just call it like 23 gold. And then you get 2 components, which is just crazy value since the comp wants components as well, and the gold helps a lot. So insane augment in this comp. I just hard force it. I mean, there's some other stuff. Specifically on 3-2, Trait Tracker is disgusting. And also Powered Shields. Trait Tracker, after you play 8 unique things, you get 6 random emblems. Each emblem counts for 2 components for the Scrap Shield. So you get, I think the Scrap Shield gives 50 for each component. So that's just a free 600 shield if you proc this. And like, you probably only need one of the, like, okay, you don't even need any of the traits to match, but if you get like 1 or 2 of the traits to match, like you just go crazy. I don't even think like top of Scrappy is like that good. It gives you 5 components eventually, but it scales like super, super slow. And I mean, honestly, it's probably fine, but I just think it's less OP than the what doesn't kill you. Also, just want to mention Scrap Emblem. I think the gold one's pretty bad. So the problem with Scrap Emblem on this board is that you like take it, you drop Trundle. And like Bruiser is not the most important trade in the world, but you dropping Trundle for like, I don't know, like a Loris on this board to get like Sentinel and Enforcer to buy, just not insane value. I think the Prismatic one's okay just because you get the extra 2 components out of it. But I think the gold one I kind of really don't like picking. I just don't think it spikes you that much. Like it actually spikes you a decent amount when you don't have Rumble, because you get to drop this dumbass Ziggs unit. Ziggs is the Ziggs unit is so bad in this comp. But when you have the Rumble, it's like not that good. It also gives you the opportunity of hitting +2 off of like the anomaly that gives you an emblem, or off of Carousel, but I don't think that's enough of a reason. So I don't really like taking the gold one. We could probably sit here all day about the augments, man, but like it doesn't matter. Just take some econ, take some items. It's all good. Actually, I do want to mention for Prismatics. I think the Random Ones one is crazy. Also, Flexible's pretty good for the same reason Trait Tracker is good. It's a little bit worse because it's a Prismatic and makes your early game awkward, but it's still pretty good. The Random Ones one, the Immovable Object, crazy, 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 because it your shields are so big, and then you give them a bunch of armor and MR. It's good, very very good. I also think like just support cash in general is just anything that's just a support item is it's kind of nice. Like support mining, yeah, even support cash. I don't think your like normal random wins is that good, but I believe Lockout's actually pretty good even though you have shield because it gives resistances. I believe Aegis is completely insane because it's armor to mar and attack speed, and since you have the scrap shield, you don't really get punished for Aegis positioning that much. I think random is still okay. Stuff like a Eternal Flame, Obsidian Cleaver makes up for all your shred. Chalice is probably insane if you ever get the double echo, which I like doing. So there are some pretty good support items. So yeah, the gist of the comp is that you lose streak for all of stage 2, save your components, and then just do a massive roll down on 4-1, and you really only need like 1 echo, 1 quirky to turbo stabilize, but if you're super low HP, which you often are getting, you kind of do need echo 2 and quirky 2. So that's like the weakness of the comp. If you don't really hit these units 2-star, you're not really gonna have enough damage, and if your early game went poorly, which it probably did because we're lose streaking, you're just gonna run out of HP. So I like playing this from high econ encounters like Scuttle Puddle or Gold Subscription or like Loot Subscription or something, because then you just have more money, so you just have less chance to miss Echo, mostly. And then for Anomaly, I usually like to give it to Echo, because I just think he goes infinite a lot of the time. I think the absolute best ones you never skip are like Bulwark. I think Bulwark, Echo, and Stone Skin, just because you have a big-ass shield, and then the Echo basically never dies. I think those are also, I think those are just insta-pick, you never skip them. I also think Laser Eyes is pretty good. It sounds troll, but you just take it and it does like a bunch of flat damage. I've been very impressed by this. Center of the Universe on backline is pretty good. You just put it on GP, put him in the bottom middle of the board. It gets super good value. It does like probably like 4k a fight, and you're a frontline can hold for it to do damage. Just something generic like Comeback Story is always fine. I prefer Echo, but if you have like Echo 1, Quirky 2, you just go for a Quirky 1. And yeah, there's probably more you could take. Don't take anything that gives HP because you already have the scrap shield for that. So you want to take like Armor to Mar instead. Okay, honestly, some of these new anomalies might be broken in this comp, but I don't know about them yet. So yeah, I can't really say anything about that yet. Slime Time like sounds like it could be good on Echo because it just makes sense. He has a lot of AP and then does damage, and he's melee. It does damage around him and it heals him. In practice though, I just cannot really notice this compared to like Laser Eyes. So I just seemed very mediocre to me. But yeah, I'd really just like going Armor to Mar and Echo, or like a generic damage amp, or Center of the Universe usually. And I wish I had more footage to show you. I actually think some of these games on ladder would have been very good to show off how good this comp was, because I did not really play them for the best of spots. Like I have one game to show you from tournament, but because it's just the only game I actually ended up recording. But like that game was so fucking high roll that like I don't really know if you guys are gonna learn anything, but we'll see. So we get in, it's Prismatic Party. I think this is one of the better portals for scrap because there's lots of very good prismatics, especially like 2-1. And then if you ever get random ones, you're just in such a good spot. So we see this opener, you have the Draven 2. You might think this is good, but like this Draven unit without attack speed is pretty terrible now, just compared to like other units getting buffed like the Bruiser opener. This unit just kind of sucks right now. And it also like baits you into slamming items like Rageblade, and then you just play Twitch, and I don't really think Twitch is that good. Like, I'll buy the Draven 2, but I don't think it's is that good. I see my start. I have Draven 2. I have like BT Slam for Urgot. I can maybe play towards Enforcer. But the problem is I think Enforcer is like a win streak comp as opposed to this, which I think is a lose streak comp. And I don't really think I have a board that can really win streak, especially in a prismatic with these options at least. Out of these three, I'd probably take Pandora's. And then honestly, you could like low-key force Urgot with Pandora's, but I assume someone calls that. Also, Urgot on triple Priz is, I don't know how good that is. Seems probably like a little worse. Tiny Titan, just completely terrible. And the expected unexpectedness. The Augment's like, okay, I would say it's below average, but it does usually give you money. And that's just kind of all I wanted from the spot. I just didn't want to be broke because it's triple prismatic. If you don't really get a lot of golden Krugs, you can be really broke in this portal because the 3-2 econ prismatics are like very bad. The only good one is prismatic pipeline, basically. All the other ones, like there's invested on 3-2 is pretty bad because like you don't really get that many turns to invest, and it also just doesn't give you that much gold up front. And then Tiny's Titan again, which is kind of unpickable. So it's just like Pandora's first Urgot or expected unexpectedness for generic econ. And I was gonna default expected unexpectedness, and I just roll it, and then pipeline fits this like bad opener perfectly because we can just lose streak off of it. I end up like holding pairs. Like honestly, it's probably fine not to. You can just make 10 here, but I end up holding pairs because like maybe it saves me HP or something, and then like I don't know, I had this dream of cashing out Conqueror, but then I see this fight, and I'm like, yeah, if I'm not really willing to slam anything, I am not going to cash out Conqueror, so I might as well just make 10 next turn. But, like, you look at the spot, and, like, it does not look like a scrap spot at all, or, I mean, maybe it does, because I look at the spot right now, and I just, like, scrap is just screaming to me, because we have a scaling augment. We're already loose streaking. Okay, components. If we can plan around playing scrap, our components are gonna be very good. One of the main mistakes I see like from people online are playing this is like they'll play it from like a 4 scrap like mixed streak opener, like slam items like Sunfire, and then like do a semi pivot towards it, or they play it from like a family or like a ambusher opener, and they'll just pivot into scrap, but their items are so trash. Like they build tank items, they don't have like belts for their backline or whatever. So I think if you can actually play around scrap, aka play from loose streak, you're just gonna be a lot more ahead in terms of like item economy, and you'll be behind HP, but I think this comp is so powerful that if you hit Echo 2 Corki, you just win out usually, unless there's some Kim Baron shenanigans. I guess I will say you probably do need to be like in the 2 to 3 life range if there's a Kim Baron high roller, because I have gone fifth a few times on ladder for like sacking down to like 20 HP on 4-1, winning every single round, but then dying to Kim Baron twice. That has happened in like a few of the games. Honestly, if I were to play this game now, I would just sell these Sorks and make 20 and just hard force scrap. But this was, I think, 5 days ago, and I have learned since then. I guess I was like trying to keep other comps open, but you don't really need to. Also in this comp, if you're ever like confused about what to go on carousel, it's always just glove. This comp can use like 8 gloves. Not really, but you can use like 4 or 5. You can make as many hodges as you want. Last Whisper is like semi-required. JG is good on the frontline AP. IE is good. So you just like pretty much always go glove if you're confused. And we're just sitting here making money. Oh wait, I also held Ezra pair. Okay, honestly, if I would never do this if I were to go back and play this, but I think the academy items are good, and I thought like I don't know, like maybe I just play academy here, but I don't think that comp is as good as this one, so I would not do this play again. I mean, I guess you can hold everything now with how much gold you got. Okay, I see the GP. I think I commit scrap here. So I make the Last Whisper, which is needed for scrap. I didn't look at this at the time. The best rating for Echo is Gunblade, for whatever reason. Radiant stats are always just a toss-up. You can't really intuition it, because the items aren't really scaled to their normal items. So I guess I should have made Radiant Gunblade, but Radiant BT is fine. So here I just commit to scrap. And then Wand Overflow is like okay, because it gives you 5 items. The problem I have with this is I think the attack speed is pretty not good. Like, you want attack speed on like some like GP and like somewhat on Corki, but like attack speed on Echo and Rumble are, which is who you want to put these rods on, is just not that useful. So this ends up just being like 5 components, which I don't know. I'd probably actually rather take relics over this. I think I might have rolled relic first though. Okay, so I just immediately immovable. I don't think there's a single like augment you would take instead of immovable. And then I also natural Echo. So this is like what I was talking about, is why I didn't really want to show this game, because like I'm pretty sure a preschooler could like top 4 from the spot. I mean, not really, but like this is a tournament lobby. I'm pretty sure like if you like force them to play 6 scrap, I think a diamond player could like top 2 in a full challenger tournament from this angle. Like if you force them to play scrap and not like pivot into some garbage. So now we're just extremely stable level here, because we still make 40, put in the firelight. And honestly, like there's not really much to talk about the rest of the game. We can talk about the like decisions like item slams and anomaly, and like augment, because that's important. But for all intents and purposes, this game's over. I went Gangplank for the pair, and then I guess Chain's fine. Conrad's fine on Echo, and I'm really just taking this for the GP pair. You could go tier here, but like you're already scrapping this rod. I think taking GP is good, and we're like super stable off this Echo. Usually I like when I hard for this comp from like loose streak, I start the game with like 30 HP or even lower. I've actually played mini games with 20 HP on like 4-1, and I've won out a few of them. But when you can actually play it from, I would streak the stage, because I natural Echo and got the best prismatic augment for the comp, and my items are still good, and I have a lot of money. So this is basically the best of both worlds. But usually I'll have like the same items, the same econ, but I'll be like 30 or 40 HP. This is like in the average game. And here, most important thing is just to roll first. You need 6 scrap. If you're loose streaking, you need to roll on 4-1. If you're not loose streaking, you can like roll on 4-2. But the problem is, like, I mean, I'm pretty certain Echo is going to be very contested in next patch, or I guess this patch if you're watching the video. And I mean, who am I talking to? So I assume when you're watching this, Echo is going to be very contested. So you might need to roll on 4-1 and have like an econ augment to hit this comp, maybe. As for items, I think we had Belt that we slammed. Belt always goes on Corki, like we said. And then I actually think I mess up here. I'm supposed to go Rabadons on Echo and then tier scrap him, because it gives us the guaranteed Hodge. Rabadons is also just a very good item on him. And then I probably just sword scrap GP and cloak the Ziggs. I forget what I do, but it was probably not correct, because I don't remember watching this and having a death cap. Because I think I rod scrapped. Oh, I went spark. I mean, that's fine. Like you do really want to spark. Okay, Loki, I'm convincing myself, because the thing is, if you make Rabadons, it actually might be hard to get scrap later, or it might be hard to get spark later. Okay, I think this is like a toss up, because I do think tier scrap is better than rod scrap because you can roll double spark and that's pretty bad. But okay, honestly, I can buy this. And we just move the spark off echo later and then eventually tier echo. Okay, honestly, this probably is correct. Never mind. Because you do really eventually want the spark. And this board is just kind of unbeatable. Echo 2 plus random ones. I don't really have to roll a single time. I should just be selling this bench. I don't really know why I'm holding the bench. It might be a little nonsensical that I'm like playing Vi here. Because like you look at my board and it like busts our GP2 and then it's like a Vi. So it looks weird, but I'm pretty confident that Vi is usually the unit you should play. As to why, I don't really have the best idea. I think she just kind of synergizes well with the idea that we want to kill the frontline fast, because the way Vi works is whenever she casts, she'll hit the entire like row of units. So if she hits the frontline, that's like hits the entire frontline, and that's pretty good for the comp. Also, just Pit Fighter's good and provides a little bit of CC. If she ever lands on like a melee carry, it can be pretty valuable. As for these augments, left and right are kind of trash. Left does not buffer echo as well unless we position him badly, and right is I don't think you can ever click this in a real game. And I think roll the dice is just not that good because we already just wanted to be scrapping everyone. I probably could make Chance of Fate work, but because I will win the next round. But thing about it is I don't really think like a blue buff Gunblade Mel is gonna do that much for me. And I mean that's basically it. And I also don't get the Mel for like a few turns because I have to be 60 gold. So I will just take Ambusher Crown because it buffs my Echo, and then on level 9 you can fit 5 Ambusher, and then I get the Hodge for Echo, which is pretty good though as well. Okay, here here's where I mess up. I should be selling this Ziggs to move tier on Echo, rod the replacement Ziggs. Because tier's a better scrap than rod, and all you lose is like Ziggs pair. Doesn't really matter. And spark this Trundle, because like yeah, it's Trundle 1 or Trundle 2. Not the tankiest unit in the world, but it does have a scrap shield. So actually is pretty tanky. Like if it rolls a death cap, obviously I'm pretty happy with running the Echo, but it usually does not roll a death cap. Sometimes it could just roll double spark, which is not good. I mean, you basically just don't want to rod him because like double spark is pretty bad. That's all it really is. And we're kind of just extremely stable the rest of the game. In your average game, okay, I want to like do an example here of like what not to do playing scrap. I'm not trying to flame this guy, but just to point out. Usually I'm in the spot with like 30 HP. So you might be like if you're 30 HP in the spot, you probably okay, honestly with these augments you don't roll down. But if you're like 30 HP in the spots, but like your augments aren't that good, you can definitely just send it on 4-5 after like carousel and stuff for like Gorky 2 or Echo 2 if you're missing one of them. And like Rumble 1's a huge spike as well. Didn't really talk about that. Rumble 1 is crazy in this comp. But to talk about the difference in the boards, what he's doing here is like he got a lot of augments. I think he like Natural Corky or something. And he got a lot of prismatics that like give him a bunch of extra items. The issue with this board is that like a lot of the extra items are kind of useless. He has 2 tank items. He has a Vow, which is like fine on Elise, and a Sunfire, which I don't really like in this comp. And he also has like took a red buff augment, and then he has Firelight for only Echo, which is pretty low value for a prismatic. Basically, his augments are just incredibly low value, compared to mine. And then I also think he tried to play this from Windstreak and kind of just made whatever. Like he probably made Sunfire in stage 2. And then took every single item augment, so his items just ended up like pretty bad. If you play from Loose Streak and can actually control your items, and like greed, it's just ends up being a lot better usually. Not the flame, of course. I have plenty of games in my match history before I figured this out with a bunch of trash on Echo, and I also don't even think I have the right Echo items right now. I should have tier on it, but it's all good. Okay, well we can't really talk about it this much because I literally get the best one on like the second roll or the first roll. So yeah, either this or Bulwark are the best ones, especially when you have a Giga Echo. If you have Echo 1, Corky 2, I'd be much more willing to take like a Corky 1, for example, but that is not the case here. Oh, also, just to talk about frontline Corky, because it looks a little awkward to put a unit like this in the frontline. It's mostly because, 1, Corky dashes away, so he's never going to be in real danger. When he dashes away, the units will stop targeting him. And typically when you play this comp, your scrap shielder is going to be good enough that he guarantees the dash. And like why that's beneficial is that you can basically save a bit of shield on your front line by having them damage Corky's shield at the start of the fight, mostly. It also like helps him cast earlier, which is like a little fake, because usually it's getting CC'd, so it's like probably the same amount of uptime. But you do get extra frontline by doing this most of the time. There's not really that many punishes in the game for it. And then here I'm just rolling for 5 Ambusher, because the trade is just very good. And like the Vi doesn't really matter that much anymore with the setup. And here, I'm also looking to play a second Echo. I think you should always cap her on second Echo. The reason second Echo is good because it just we're investing so many traits in him, and compared to like something like an Elise, we're basically just usually only fit 2 Bruiser 2 Form Swapper for this unit anyways, but a 2 Bruiser 2 Form Swapper Elise is never going to be as good as a 5 Ambusher 6 Scrap Echo, basically. Sometimes you can even fit Firelight in. Most of the times you don't have 5 Ambusher. Most of the time it's like 2. But even a 2 Ambusher 6 scrap Echo is basically going to be better than any unit you can play. So here I just Golden Eco the Echo. And okay, again, I should be tiering his ass. I didn't really know the tier was a guaranteed Hodge when I was playing this game, but I learned now. So I should be tiering the Echo. So see, I'm even misplaying, and this game's still over. It's like your games when you play this comp. True. There's not really that much to talk about this game. I don't lose a single round. I guess the point I'm trying to make is that I think this is like the best comp to play in the game if you like don't know what to play, because it's a comp that doesn't really want you to slam any items, and it's also the only comp I think that really wants to be loose streaking. So this is like my default loose streak comp basically, and I also think it's incredibly strong if you like get to the point of like Echo 2 6 scrap plus some good augments, you just kind of win out. Weaknesses of this comp is that if you get too low HP, you could lose to like some actual Exodias, like a 3-star 4 cost, or Kim Baron, or like some like 9 Rebel or 10 Rebel or whatever. But most of the time it doesn't happen. Also, if you hit like a Rumble 1 on your rolldown at any point, you're also just chilling. Yeah, that's my scrap guide, I guess. I don't really know how much of this is sticking because I'm not really doing any format. But basically, just play this from loose streak. It's not a tempo comp at all, in my opinion, because I think the 4 scrap opener is trash. And usually tempo openers rely around tank items, and I don't really want to build a single tank item. You just go as many damage items as possible, save your components for like the perfect setups. Greed, Last Whisper, Spark, and then like Tears and Belts. And if you have enough econ, roll on 4-1, hit Echo 2, GG. And yeah, that's my scrap guide. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.